By now you may have heard about Anthem Next, that total overhaul BioWare has planned for their incredibly unsuccessful attempt at making a new IP. But in case you haven't, here's a quick recap. At launch, Anthem was a complete disaster, filled with glitches, bugs, connection issues, and more importantly, it just wasn't a good game. Like, yes, there was some fun to be had in the moment-to-moment combat and flying around like Iron Man, but the game lacked and desperately needed a more satisfying loot experience, better long-term progression, and a more fulfilling endgame. And then in the fall of 2019, we started hearing rumors that they would be revamping the game. Not long after those rumors, it was officially confirmed by BioWare. They went out and said that they would be focusing on a longer-term redesign of the experience, working to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression with meaningful rewards. On top of that, they mentioned that this would require more than just an update or expansion, and that they were in fact giving the game a total overhaul, which was tentatively being referred to as Anthem Next. This past May, we got an update on how development of Next was going, which basically boiled down to they were in the incubation and prototyping phase, are a long way from being done, and plan to be open with any changes they make in the future. Then after that, they went dark for a few more months until just the other week when we got a fairly detailed look at some of the changes being made. They posted a blog post titled Loot and Equipment, in which they dove into trying to deliver a satisfying loot experience with Anthem Next. They talked about how they spent a bunch of time researching some of the best loot games out there. Based on that research and player feedback, they were looking to do the following changes. They will respect your time by increasing the frequency of loot drops, making loot more viable more often. They're going to embrace player choice, letting you pursue specific loot without relying on randomness alone. They're also looking to create a rewarding loot experience, and they showcased a video for this, showing that loot is going to feel more exciting and noticeable when it drops and is kind of celebrated when you pick it up. So they say that those are the core ideas that they're aiming for with the loot system, but it's still early days and they're going to continue to test and experiment in the coming months. Now, it's pretty clear from this that they are a far way from being complete. It absolutely isn't going to be coming out in 2020, and it may not even be finished in 2021. And I think that kind of raises the question, if we're seriously looking at a 2022 release of Anthem Next, by that point, is anybody going to care? And maybe even more so, does the game even deserve a second chance? So before I jump into any of that, let's take a brief moment for a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by AFK Arena. Have you ever wanted to play a game that plays itself? Well, that's AFK Arena. It combines card game and idle RPG mechanics that cater to both hardcore and casual players, being easy to get into while also having a lot of strategic depth. Some of the game features include a unique fresco art style, 6 distinct factions from which you can collect a roster of heroes, forge weaponry, and train them up to fight. There's a rich backstory and lore to the world, and it provides both PvE and PvP content. Now, currently, AFK Arena is doing a crossover with Assassin's Creed. You can play as Ezio, level him up, and collect gear to make him stronger, and then just watch him go to town, because again, this is a game that plays itself. So if you are a fan of Assassin's Creed, or you like games that do the gaming for you, you may want to check out AFK Arena. Try the game for yourself by clicking on the link in the description below. So yes, let's talk about whether or not Anthem deserves a second chance. This is a kind of a point or a question, I guess, that I see raised a lot in any of the prior coverage I've done about Anthem Next. I think I've done 2 or 3 videos at this point, and I consistently in the comments see people saying that, you know what, we shouldn't give EA or BioWare a second chance. Anthem launched, it was in a terrible state, and the game no longer deserves our attention. It doesn't even matter what changes they make. First of all, I want to say that, you know what, if they can make a better game, great. And specifically, if they don't charge us for it. There's still a lot of uncertainty about exactly how Anthem Next is going to be presented. They've sort of talked about how maybe they're gonna release it through a series of major updates that completely change Anthem with these massive overhaul patches, or maybe it's actually like a complete re-release. And I think by the point they actually release Anthem Next, if it is in fact not until late 2021 or some point in 2022, I think that will be far enough away from the launch of Anthem that it might even make sense for them to just release this new product that's Anthem Next, but I guess then that brings into question, like, how are they gonna charge for it for new players? I think that if you owned Anthem, you should absolutely be getting Anthem Next for free. And, you know, before people come to the defense of the developer saying, you know, well, they put a couple years of work into overhauling the game, of course they should get paid for it. They already got their money, and the game was it wasn't a good game. And you might even argue it's not even a game. Like, Anthem launched as garbage, and people are so upset about it. And I think reasonably so. Like, there's lots of people who spent money, $60 or maybe $80 or $100, depending on if you bought like those collector's edition. There's a lot of people who spent a decent chunk of change and got the shell of a game. It was like a proof of concept. It really wasn't a complete game when it came out, and people are fed up with it, and I totally understand. You know, in this era of games as a service, it seems to be this common thing that we see happening over and over again, where games come out unfinished, buggy, incomplete, with the promise that they're going to get better in the future. And while I do think it's good that developers continue to work on games and improve them if they launch in incomplete states, I think it isn't so great that we've kind of gotten used to this idea that these games can come out and just be horrendous, and then we cross our fingers and hope the developer cares and spends the time, effort, and resources to making it a better product. Now, with that said, we've seen some games make some pretty massive and impressive changes over the years. I think probably two of the games that people point to the most in this category would be Sea of Thieves and No Man's Sky. Both of those games are pretty much universally were panned when they came out as they having numerous issues, whatever the specifics may be, but they weren't great, they didn't get amazing reviews, or at the very least were incredibly divisive. However divisive or poor people thought those games were, it seems like the general consensus nowadays is that they are in a much better spot. I think it's a good thing that that can and does happen, but I don't know that we should look to the exceptions and say that that is a trend that we should be okay with, because there are plenty other games that launched poorly and haven't really turned around their reputations. Even if most games did, I still don't think it's something that we should get used to. I like the idea that games can come out and be improved with time or added upon with time, but I'm not okay, and it doesn't settle well with me, this idea that we should just say, well, whatever, cross your fingers, knock on wood, and hope the developer makes this game that launched horrible better. So with that said, I completely understand the perspective of people who would say, you know what, EA has burned me enough times, they've done enough things that are upsetting, I don't care to check out Anthem Next, even if it does get better. But all of that is going to lead into kind of my ultimate perspective about this, is that even though I fully understand the rationale behind the perspective of if they screw you at launch, you shouldn't give them another chance, I think that if they can make the game better for free, it's great. And I also think that ultimately it's better than the idea of them abandoning the game, because that certainly would have been a possibility. Of course, we can argue that they can't do that because it would harm their reputation too much, but it's not exactly like EA and BioWare have the greatest reputation at the moment to begin with. BioWare in particular is a developer that was long heralded as making great, amazing games. People could rely on them, but over the years that has changed. Game after game coming out that really let people down, let their fans and their player bases down. I would say that right now BioWare doesn't have the greatest reputation. And then Anthem was sort of a nail in the coffin, if they weren't already at that point anyways. Anthem really drove home to people that we can't trust BioWare to make a good game anymore. So I think for that reason, their reputation alone, they have no choice really but to make Anthem better. They could have ditched Anthem and just started working on Anthem 2. And in many ways, with the overhaul and the kind of things they're talking about, the broad top-level concepts of them essentially just rebuilding the game from the ground up, it really does, it almost sounds like they are making Anthem 2, but it's just going to be an overhaul of Anthem. And again, I understand the frustration behind this sort of thing happening over and over with games, and people not wanting to be complacent with the idea of a game launching in a terrible state and then just hoping it gets better later. But they're not abandoning the game. I think they can't, but regardless of that, I think it's a good thing And hey, you know what? I would like to see this game get better. I think there are some pretty great ideas in Anthem. Recently, I've actually been thinking about making a video just jumping back into Anthem, and in doing so, I hopped in and played a bunch. I think that's probably what's most disappointing, is like I can see so much potential. I mean, I remember when this game, prior to launch, like learning about it and seeing the trailers and stuff, and I even went to a hands-on event, and I was like, you know what? The potential is here. And they've built such a freaking cool world. Just going through and flying around is obviously neat and stuff, but like all the little caves and forts and hidden temples and stuff. It's just a fucking 90s Nickelodeon TV show, but there's just, I think a lot of like the tone and atmosphere and aspects of this game make for such an like interesting world to be in. It's just a shame that the actual game element of it, like the combat, the loot chase, the end game and all that stuff, made the real important stuff. It's a shame that that wasn't better. And I suppose from my perspective, I would just like to see the potential of this game fully realized, even though I understand how disappointed people are and tired of like paying full price for games and having them come out incomplete and then having to potentially wait years and years for them to get good. You know, I really like loot games, and I really loved the idea of Anthem, and I think that there could be something special here that they could even realize a dream that I had long ago when prior to Destiny launching, of this really interesting open world loot game. I suppose the point is that I jumping back in recently and spending time in the world again reminded me that there are some really cool aspects and elements of this game if they can just make the game part around that better. And I realize that's the toughest part. That's the most important thing. Like, they might have presented us with a cool setting to explore, but if the game's not fun to play, no one's going to stick around, as is evidenced with what happened with Anthem. It didn't take very long before the player base dropped to basically nothing, and it's just like kind of limping along at this point. So I really hope that they can pull it together. I hope that they can do something with Anthem and make it an actually good game, right? I think that would be neat. So to answer the question, I think that we can give Anthem Next a chance. We could give Anthem a second chance, as long as they aren't charging us money for what we paid for initially and only got the skeleton of. I spent the money, now give me the game. If it takes 3 years, that frickin' sucks. But whatever, I guess. I don't know. So anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. I know that's kind of weird here. I'm not doing the face cam stuff. I'm taking a bit of a trip. I will be back by the time this video uploads in a few days, and we should be back to normal. And I got some stuff coming up that I'm pretty excited for. So sit tight, I guess, and look forward to new... I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoy it. And yeah, see you later. Take it easy.